Okay, let's try this one more time. You know, one of the things that makes creating videos like this so valuable? It's because I'm sitting here and I'm explaining to you folks what I'm doing, and then it errors out, and I realize I fat figured something, and there's a problem. Anyways, I just went through like 6 minutes of this video and then it errored out. And then I just spent 5 minutes troubleshooting the error. And now we're back to doing this. So if you're thinking to yourself, should I really do YouTube videos? Is there a value to doing YouTube videos? Just realize it may not be the advertising revenue that is valuable. It's forcing you to essentially show other people what you're doing and walk them through what you're doing and why you're doing it, for you to kind of realize how stupid whatever you're doing is. I think that might actually be the real value of YouTube. Is not to show the world how stupid you are, it's to show you how stupid you are. Anyway, so I've been working on this chores app for a little while now. So I started learning Django, the web framework for Python, a little under 2 weeks ago. Once I started to understand enough to actually be able to build something, I decided to start creating this chores app. So since my wife and I are procrastinators, just like we were when we were younger, basically my idea is, just create a little system to keep track of the chores that need to be done, create a schedule for how often the chores need to be done, and then essentially auto-populate a little list to say what chores are currently due. When you're done with doing whatever chore it is, you can simply click on the check off button, and it should go away, right? Did it go away? Oh, we got a new one. Laundry came up just as I did dust. Anyways, go away, laundry. There we go. Anyways, so you check it off. Basically, it goes down to the log here to say what you checked off and when it was checked off. You'll see this list now gets smaller, and then as time goes by, it'll auto-populate again as the schedule moves down. One of the big things that I've done, my modification for today, which is like the last major thing for this particular project, is I did create the user account system. So basically, we have the chore that was done, we have the timestamp for when it was done, and then we have the user that did it. So it's me, my wife, me, my wife. So what's kind of cool here is you could actually come up with a gamification system, if you're not doing this with your wife. Like for kids, think about it. If you have multiple kids, they do different chores. Maybe you could have a point system. And then over here, you could have a gamification thing to show which kid is doing more chores, right? Anyways, for me, this is just a little thing just to keep track of, more or less who's doing what. But what's kind of cool here, again, like I said, you could do gamification, or if you have employees, chores, taking out trash. That's one of the things, like a lot of like higher level employees, they don't want to do things like take out trash and just do some basic stuff every once in a while, right? This may be a system that you can actually use for kind of like manual labor work or whatever else. But that's what I created today, was the account system. So you'll notice here I log out. When I click on the log out button, you'll see the check off thing goes away. So I'm not able to check off if I'm logged out. That was the problem down here. You'll see this anonymous user. So those links didn't disappear. So I could check off even when I was logged out. Then you get the anonymous user. That doesn't help. So basically just made the check off thing go away. What I have realized here, and this is one of the important things with actually building your own dog food and then eating it, is you see problems that you just kind of overlooked. These edit links are still active. These edits links are still active, even though I'm not logged in. So one of the modifications I should make for this is these edit links should go away if you're not logged in. But I can go up here. We have a registration system, so I could register. If I want to register, let's say I want to register as Sue. Put my password in. Oops. And then we hit the sign up. Now the user is Sue. I'm looking at all the chores that need to be done. Ooh, sweeping the deck. Sweeping the deck hasn't been done in a long time. It's been 501,636 seconds since I've swept the deck. So Sue can check it off, and we can now see that Sue swept the deck. So this is where we're at. So I think that's pretty cool. I think it's pretty nifty neat. And this is actually something that is pretty functional. From a basic standpoint for this particular app, there's a few things I need to do. I need to turn the schedule. These are seconds. I need to turn this into more of a human readable format. So maybe like so many days. This is how many days, right? Something like that. The edit thing needs to disappear. I also need to be able to delete tasks. So right now we don't have the function to delete tasks, so I need to delete tasks. But that's really about it to make this a fully functional app that I will use. Like I say, here in the house, it has a user account system now, and it has everything that I just showed you. The important thing to understand about this is when you really think about it, most of the applications you're going to be dealing with are just basically this on a lot larger scale. A lot bigger database. So, instead of me and my wife dumping into the database and pulling from the database, you may have hundreds or hundreds of thousands of people, right? So that's something you have to worry about from a scaling standpoint. Again, how many database tables that you're actually dealing with. So if this was going to become a startup company, right, you would have a higher level. So you'd have like an account level. So like a family account or a business account level. Then you may have department levels under that. And then for the department, you'd have a department identifiers for their particular task list, right? So you take this and you start expanding it out more and more and more. But the important thing is, right, if you know how to add values into a database, if you know how to pull values from a database, if you know how to update values that are in a database, if you know how to create the input forms, so you can either edit something or you can add something, if you can print out a report, and not just print out a report, but you can actually filter based off of specific things, such as, the scheduled time or whatever else. This is the core stuff that you're going to be doing with any kind of technology project. And really past this, is just adding on specific functionality, right? So right now I have the ability to register users. All right, so users can register, but you'll notice it's just a username and password. So there is functionality so that, there's just basic stuff. I could add profile names. I could add first name, last name. I could add the ability to upload a profile picture. I can create a verification process, so email verification. Once an account is created, then an email gets sent off, right? But those are all just basic little add-ons, and you keep building, until, at the end of the day, you have a project that looks pretty impressive. So anyways, I'm pretty happy with this. This is, let's track along. Like I say, less than 2 weeks. And I've got this. What do I need to worry about past this? So I'm not using static files. So you'll notice, everything's ugly. I'm a Unix or Linux administrator at the end of the day, I guess. Designed by a sysadmin. Anyways, all kind of ugly. I don't have any CSS. So as far as Django is concerned, there's a way for delivering static files. So I do have to figure out that way of delivering static files. That's something I have to deal with. The next thing too is to actually create like an application that would be on the web that would have people register. I do need to figure out that whole verification process. I don't think that's hard. I think that's about a day to figure out the verification process. And then past that, actually deploying this out. What's interesting with Django is they give you a full development environment. So you have SQLite as the database, you have their web server, but they tell you, do not use their web server in the real world. So, oh crikey, there's this whole thing you have to go through. The Junicorn, I think it's called Junicorn. So you take this, and you install, I think it's called Junicorn, could be wrong. Anyway, there's something that you install that becomes an application server. Then once you have that application server, then you have to install Nginx or Apache to point to the application server. So there's that thing for the web accessibility. And then past that, actually connecting this back to a database I feel comfortable with, whether it's MySQL or Postgres. I guess that's going to be a question. So there's like, what do I say? So there's like an hour. There's an hour of cleaning this up, making it pretty. There's maybe half the day of figuring out static files. There's maybe half a day of figuring out the whole verification system. And then there's probably a day, I'll give it, there's probably a day of actually figuring out how to package this damn thing up and deploying it into, internet, web-facing environment. But yeah, pretty happy with it so far. So yeah, Django is not the worst thing in the world. 2 weeks in, 2 weeks. When I started, I hated Django with a passion. Now I'm like, I kind of like Django. I actually have an idea for an app. Maybe that'll be where I make my gazillions of dollars. But I might be using Django to build the app. I have this, again, doing this and with Silicon Dojo, there's like, oh, that's one of the big things too. Like with building stuff, is you see problems. Like with building things and doing things, you realize what problems exist. Right. And so, yeah, who knows? It's probably gonna be worth $5. But anyways, so I've been dealing with this whole Django thing. And one of the things I've realized with Django is kind of like note taking is a disaster. Like note taking and documentation is a disaster. And like, it's not that I see that. It's not that I see that Django documentation is a disaster. Is that I've lost a good bit of more hair out of my head because of Django being a good bit disaster. And so that's one of the things is like, so I'm sitting here and building this. And then as I'm building this, I actually see problems. I don't see problems. I feel problems, right? Yeah. And it's like, wait a minute, could I use this? Could I use this to build a solution for the problems that I am in fact running into, right? Because that's what a lot of people, again, it's so frustrating with the modern kids nowadays, young people nowadays, in the tech industry. You tell young people that your job is to solve problems using technology, and they argue with you. I don't know why this is an argument, but that's what so many people don't seem to grasp. And that's why it's important to go out and do things. The reason you need to go out and do stuff day after day after day, if nothing else, is you see the problems that are there. And then you have the technology skills to build solutions. And then as you're going along, you start to see these problems. Then you think, maybe I can solve that problem, or maybe I can solve that problem, or maybe I can solve this other problem. And then one of the problems will make you successful. Again, when I started doing YouTube videos, or I didn't start doing YouTube videos, when I started doing videos back in 2009, right? I had my own tech business with my own employees, and I realized tech education was garbage. So I was like, hey, can we make this better? I created hundreds of classes and everything else, and that's why people are watching me today. And that came from, I see a problem, and I think I have a skill set to solve it. So anyways, with that I'll go. But there you go. Nice little, functional app with a user system. Sub 2 weeks. If you like this type of content, thumb it up or thumb it down. Leave a comment, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff.